The house feels different after 60, quieter, slower. Some days it's peaceful, but other days it feels like the silence wraps around you like a heavy coat. I remember Martha, a retired nurse from Michigan. She once told me, "It's not the quiet that hurts. It's the fact no one notices it but me." And she was right. After 60, a lot of people stop calling, and time starts moving in a different rhythm. But here's the thing. Loneliness isn't a sentence. It's a signal, a sign that your heart still wants connection. And trust me, meaningful connection is still possible. That's what we're going to talk about today. 5 real, powerful ways seniors across America, across Europe, are finding connection, purpose, and peace in the later years of life. If you're feeling alone, this isn't the end of your story. It might just be the beginning of a better one. And hey, if this kind of reflection means something to you, go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell, and let's keep walking this road together. Because here at Elderly Reflections, we don't just grow older, we grow wiser too. 1. Speak honestly about your loneliness, even if it's hard. It sounds simple, but it's the most important step. You have to say it out loud. I feel lonely. Not to just anyone, but maybe to a trusted friend, a doctor, a neighbor. Because when we hide that feeling, it grows. And worse, it lies to us. Tells us we're not wanted, tells us we're the only ones. I remember Frank, a 74-year-old widower from Minnesota, retired school principal, quiet, disciplined, used to being the one people came to for advice. After his wife passed, he didn't say a word to anyone about the grief or the emptiness. I thought I'd tough it out, he told me. But the silence started echoing. I'd walk past the kitchen and expect her voice. Every day I was waiting for something that wasn't coming back. Frank finally mentioned his feelings to his doctor during a routine checkup. Just said, "I think I'm not doing too well being on my own." That led to a conversation. That conversation led to a referral to a local men's grief group. That led to coffee with other widowers. 1 sentence. That's all it took to open a door. You're not weak for feeling lonely. You're human. And 1 sentence, said out loud, can be the start of healing. 2. Rebuild daily routines that involve real people, not just tasks. Loneliness often sneaks in when we stop having a reason to go somewhere or talk to someone. Retirement can be a relief at first, but after a while, the lack of structure leaves too much empty. Let me tell you about Maria, a 77-year-old retired seamstress living in Montreal. After retiring and with her children living far away, she said her days felt like one long, quiet hallway. I cleaned, I watched TV, I went to bed, then I did it all again, she told me. But things changed when she started walking every morning to the local bakery. Not just to buy bread, but to talk to the owner. She said, "The first time he remembered my name, I almost cried." That one routine became her anchor. She met other regulars. She eventually helped mend aprons for the bakery staff. What started as a walk turned into connection. She said, "It wasn't about the bread. It was about being missed when I didn't show up." So ask yourself, what part of your week can be rebuilt around people? A morning walk with a neighbor? Visiting the same shop at the same time every week? Call it your connection ritual, because that's what it becomes, a rhythm that brings faces, names, warmth back into your life. 3. Reach out to someone who's drifted away. You'd be surprised who's waiting to hear from you. Sometimes we think people have moved on, that we'd be bothering them if we reached out, but often they're thinking the same thing. I've learned that most broken connections aren't broken, they're just quiet. They're waiting for a spark. Take Roger, a 71-year-old Vietnam veteran in Arizona. He hadn't spoken to his brother in over 12 years. No falling out, just time, distance, silence. "We used to talk every week," he told me. "Then it was once a month, then it just stopped. I asked if he ever missed him. He said, 'Every damn Sunday.'" So I gave Roger a quote that he later taped to his fridge. It said, "Pride is heavy, let go of it, and your hands are free to reach again." He texted his brother just 4 words, "I miss our talks." That afternoon, he got a call. They talked for an hour, cried a little, laughed a lot. Roger told me, "I thought he'd moved on. Turns out, he was just waiting." So who in your life has gone quiet, not gone cold? A sibling, a cousin, an old neighbor? Reach out. Don't make it a speech. Just a sentence, a picture, a memory. You're not reopening old wounds. You're reviving old roots. Or, say yes to one new space with new faces, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. I know how intimidating it is to walk into a room full of strangers, especially when you feel like the oldest one there. But here's the thing, loneliness shrinks when curiosity grows. You don't need to love social events, you just need to be near life. Let me tell you about Evelyn, an 80-year-old retired nurse in Manchester. She told me, "I don't do clubs. I'm not a joiner." But her granddaughter signed her up for a storytelling class at the community college. "I almost didn't go," she said. But I thought, what's the worst that could happen? What happened was magic. She told a story about delivering a baby in the 1970s during a blackout. The class applauded. One young man said, "You should write a book." Evelyn said, "I'd never felt so alive talking about something so old." You don't need to become a performer, but saying yes to one gathering, a lecture, a community garden, a walking club, can bring you back into the stream of living. You don't have to swim, just wade in. 5. Offer help. It's the fastest bridge to connection and purpose. People often forget this, but giving is one of the fastest ways to stop feeling invisible. When someone needs you, even for a small thing, you come alive again. Purpose doesn't retire, it shifts. And when you offer your hands, your time, your story, I think of George, a 79-year-old man in Dublin, quiet fellow, lost his wife, moved to a smaller flat, spent most days with the blinds drawn, but one day he heard about a program where seniors read to children at a local library. He didn't think he was good with kids, but he liked books, so he showed up. The first week he read Charlotte's Web. A little boy asked him, "Why do you make the voices funny?" George said, "Because stories deserve to be alive." The boy came back the next week, and the next. After 2 months, George had a fan club. "They call me Story Grandpa." He chuckled. George told me, "I thought I was just passing time, but now I feel like I'm passing something on." That's the key. We're not here just to exist. We're here to echo, and helping someone, whether that's tutoring, gardening, fixing bikes, calling someone lonelier than you. 6. Stop waiting to be invited. Extend the first invitation. One of the saddest things I hear from people over 65 is this: "Nobody ever calls me." And my heart aches when I hear that, because I know what they really mean. What they're saying is, I still want to matter. I still want to be part of something. But here's what I've learned. People are often so caught up in their own lives, they forget to reach out. Not because they don't care, but because they're distracted. And sometimes they're just waiting on you to go first. Take Irene, a 69-year-old woman from Seattle. She told me, "I was tired of waiting for people to check in on me. So one Saturday morning, I baked cookies and left them at my neighbors' doors with little notes that said, 'From the house with the blue hydrangeas.' Within a week, 4 people came by to thank her. One brought tea, one invited her to book club, one offered to help in her garden. And just like that, her street stopped being just a place. It became a community." Irene told me, "Turns out I didn't need to be invited. I just needed to go first." Those words stuck with me, because it's true. At our age, we've led families, businesses, marriages, and communities. We've built so much already, so why stop now? Be the one who says, "Want to go for a walk?" Or, "Would you like to come over for coffee?" The invitation doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be sincere. 7. Find connection through shared purpose, not just conversation. You don't always need a friend to talk to. Sometimes you need someone to do something with. A goal, a shared task. And that's where real bonds often grow. Not in small talk, but in shared work. That reminds me of Paul and Hassan, both in their 70s, who met at a community garden in Toronto. Paul was a retired electrician. Hassan had been a school teacher back in Syria. They barely spoke the same language at first, but they watered the same tomato plants, turned the same soil, helped each other carry fertilizer. And over the season, they built a connection that neither of them expected. Paul told me, "I didn't need him to be my best friend, but it felt good knowing someone else was counting on me to show up." That's the power of shared purpose. So if sitting in a circle and talking isn't your thing, find something to do. Volunteer at a food pantry. Help restore bikes. Join a senior walking group that picks up litter while exercising. These small shared tasks create bonds stronger than words. Because sometimes what we need most isn't someone to talk to, it's someone to show up for. 8. Embrace technology. Not perfectly, just enough. Now I know this one's controversial. I've met many seniors who say, I don't do screens. I'm too old for this tech stuff. But hear me when I say this. Technology is just a tool. It's not about becoming an expert. It's about staying connected. I met Ray, 81, in rural Nebraska. He hadn't seen his granddaughter in almost 2 years. Face chat. I don't get it. His neighbor helped him set up a tablet. And with a few taps, he was suddenly face-to-face with his granddaughter, live from her college dorm. He told me, eyes welling up. She showed me her room, introduced me to her roommate. I felt like I'd walked through her door. No, it's not the same as a hug, but it's something, and something beats nothing every time. Technology can also help you find local senior events, book clubs, even online choirs or support groups. You don't need to master it. You just need to use it. Even voice messages, even sending someone a photo of your garden. These tiny things remind people you're still here. You're still part of their world. And if you're unsure how to use it, there are programs across the US, UK, Canada, and Europe that teach seniors for free. Just ask. Help is out there, and so are real, meaningful conversations. 9. Let go of the idea that connection must look like it used to. One of the things that keeps seniors lonely is memory. Not bad memories, good ones. We remember how it used to be. Sunday dinners with 10 people around the table. Phone calls every week. Hugs from little grandchildren who now have jobs and mortgages. We miss that, and so we compare what we have to what we had, and it hurts. But here's what I've learned. Connection can still be beautiful, even if it looks different. It might be a brief text instead of a 2-hour chat. It might be a weekly email from a niece who's busy raising 3 kids. It might even be sharing photos through a digital frame your family updates from afar. I remember Helga, a 75-year-old woman in Germany. Her son moved to New York for work. At first she felt abandoned. I cried every day, she told me. It felt like I lost him. But then her son bought her a photo frame that updates through the cloud. Every morning she sees new pictures of her grandson, her son's garden, even silly memes. It's not a hug, she said, but it makes me smile. And that's a form of love too. Let go of how it used to look. Love still arrives, just in new shapes. 10. Make peace with solitude and use it as your soil, not your sentence. Now this one might sound strange, but I want you to hear me. Connection is vital. We are social creatures, but solitude, when embraced, not feared, can also be holy. It's not the enemy, it's the canvas. When I first retired, I thought I had to fill every day with people, or else I'd feel forgotten. But over time I learned that solitude isn't emptiness, it's space. Space to reflect, space to rediscover hobbies, music, prayer, old letters, family photos. I met Charles, a widowed 78-year-old in Dublin, who lives alone by the sea. I asked if he ever got lonely. He smiled and said, sometimes, but I also get peaceful. I watch the birds, I write poems, I make tea and talk to my wife's photograph. And every Thursday I walk to the pier and feed the gulls. That's when I feel most connected to the world, to God, to myself. That stayed with me, because Charles didn't fear solitude, he partnered with it. And from that stillness, he built a quiet kind of joy. Let me start with Bernadette. She's 72, living in Marseille. When I met her, she said, I haven't laughed with anyone in almost a year. Her husband had passed 5 years earlier. Her kids lived far. She didn't drive anymore. Most days she just listened to the radio and crocheted in silence. But what changed her life was a quote. She heard it in a podcast. It said, connection isn't what you get, it's what you give on. That hit her hard. So she began writing tiny notes, short quotes, memories, even short poems, and she pinned them on the door of her building every Friday morning. At first, no one said anything. Then a neighbor left a smiley face on a sticky note. Then someone replied with a quote of their own. And before long, the door became a living conversation. People started knocking on her door just to say thank you. She said to me, I didn't think I had anything left to give, but turns out I still had words. That was her bridge out of isolation. That was her elderly wisdom shared in ink. Then there's Miguel, 75 in Southern California, a retired mechanic. After his wife died, he said, "I didn't see the point of anything. Days blurred, I stopped shaving, I stopped calling my daughter. He went to the store once a week, and that was it." But one afternoon, while waiting in line, a little boy dropped a toy. Miguel picked it up, handed it back. The boy smiled. "You're like Santa." Miguel chuckled. "First time I'd laughed in months," he told me. That one tiny moment made him realize how starved he was for any real interaction. So he did something bold. He signed up to volunteer once a week at a children's literacy program. Just helped clean up, sharpen pencils, arrange chairs. Didn't say much. But after a few weeks, the kids started waving at him. One drew him in crayon, said, "You're my grandpa," said. "That kid gave me back my name." Now he volunteers 3 days a week, plays chess with one of the dads, and even joins in the storytelling. He said, "I thought life had ended. I was wrong. It was just waiting." And finally, let me tell you about Harold and Louise. Married 48 years, retired in Vermont. Everything they did was together. Groceries, gardening, Sunday crossword puzzles. But after Harold passed, Louise told me, "I didn't know who I was without him. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to talk." Her daughter signed her up for a local bereavement yoga group. Seniors only. She didn't go the first 2 weeks, too tired, too sad. Then one morning she just went. Didn't even have a mat, just sat on the floor. The instructor greeted her with 5 words that she never forgot. "You're not alone in this." Louise said, "I didn't even stretch that day. I just cried, and no one looked away." Now she goes every Tuesday, not because she loves yoga, but because she found a circle that gets it. She found the courage to be seen again. She said to me, "I used to think grief was the last chapter, but maybe it's just a hard paragraph in the middle. I still have pages left." Those are the kinds of reflections that matter. They're not flashy. They're not found in some self-help book. They come from life, from trying, from failing, from showing up again even after the worst. So what do these stories tell us? They tell us that connection doesn't always start with a grand gesture. Sometimes it starts with a note. A child's drawing, a tear in a quiet room. They tell us that our value doesn't shrink with age. If anything, it deepens. The world needs what we carry, our stories, our mistakes, our wisdom. They tell us that even if you've been silent for years, one brave whisper can start a new life. I want to remind you, you are not invisible, not forgotten, not too late. You are still here. You are still needed. The wisdom you've gathered, the kindness you carry, the quiet strength of having lived this long, that matters more now than ever. Connection might not look the same as it did in your youth. It might come slower, softer, simpler, but when it comes, it nourishes the soul. So try something. This week, just one thing. Say yes. Reach out. Show up. And when you do, come back and tell me how it felt. Because at Elderly Reflections, we don't just talk about life after 60, we live it fully, wisely, and together. If this video touched something in you, I'd love for you to like it, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear these words. And before you go, leave me a comment down below. Tell me where you're watching from,